every second, the United States borrows more money. Not every minute, not every hour, every single second. Today, America's national debt has climbed past $39 trillion, the highest level in the nation's history. Yet economists argue the bigger concern isn't just the size of the debt, but how quickly borrowing costs and interest payments are growing. But here's the strange part. Most Americans don't feel the crisis. Not yet. So if nothing seems wrong, why are some of the world's biggest investors becoming increasingly nervous? For decades, the United States enjoyed something almost no other country had. It could borrow enormous amounts of money at relatively low cost. Whenever Washington needed cash, it issued Treasury bonds, and the world bought them. Governments, banks, pension funds, even America's biggest rivals. Everyone wanted U.S. debt because for decades, it was considered one of the safest investments on earth. But what happens when the safest investment starts becoming much more expensive to finance? Imagine earning $70,000 a year, but spending $90,000. At first, you use your savings. Then, you borrow money. Credit cards, loans, mortgages. Everything still looks normal. You still drive the same car, live in the same house, smile in family photos. But underneath, the debt keeps growing. Eventually, you stop borrowing to build your future. You start borrowing just to pay yesterday's bills. Many economists warn that governments can face a similar problem, though on a far larger scale and with important differences. The concern is not simply that debt exists, but that interest costs can consume a growing share of future budgets. That's where America finds itself today. The debt itself is massive, but something even bigger is quietly happening. Interest payments. Think about that for a second. The government isn't only paying back what it borrowed, it's paying interest on money borrowed years ago. And as interest rates have risen, that bill has exploded. Current projections show annual net interest costs exceeding $1 trillion, with further increases expected over the next decade if current trends continue. So here's the question. What happens when interest becomes one of the government's biggest expenses? Most people believe debt becomes dangerous only when a country runs out of money. History tells a different story. Countries rarely collapse overnight. They weaken slowly, one decision, one budget, one loan at a time, until one day the choices become much harder. Spend more? Raise taxes? Cut programs? Borrow even more? None of those answers are easy. And every year, the clock keeps ticking. Now here's something most people never hear. America isn't borrowing because it's poor. It's borrowing while remaining one of the world's largest and most productive economies. That's why this story is so complicated. A large economy can carry more debt than a small one, but economists still debate how much is too much and how long rising borrowing can continue without major consequences. And that debate could shape the next decade of the global economy. Then something changed. After years of historically low interest rates, borrowing became much more expensive. New debt, old debt being refinanced. Everything started costing more. That meant the government wasn't just adding debt, it was paying far more to service it. The numbers kept climbing, quietly, almost invisibly. But investors noticed. Financial markets noticed. Central banks noticed. The public mostly didn't. And here's why this matters to everyone. When governments need to borrow more, they compete for money. That can influence interest rates across the economy. Mortgages, business loans, car loans, credit cards. The exact impact depends on many factors, but persistent large deficits and higher interest costs are watched closely because they can affect the broader financial system over time. So, is America heading toward a financial disaster? Or is this simply another crisis the world's biggest economy will overcome? The answer is far more surprising than most people realize. For decades, the world trusted one thing above everything else: the United States. Not just its military, not just its economy, its promise. Whenever America borrowed money, investors believed they would get every dollar back. That trust became the foundation of the global financial system. But today, a different question is being asked. What happens if confidence starts to crack? Every year, Washington spends trillions of dollars on defense, healthcare, social security, infrastructure, education, interest on existing debt. The problem isn't that these programs exist. The problem is the government often spends more than it collects in taxes. That gap is called the deficit, and every annual deficit adds more debt. Then next year, the cycle begins again. So why doesn't Congress simply stop spending? Because cutting spending sounds much easier than it actually is. Imagine telling millions of retirees their benefits will be reduced. Imagine cutting healthcare, reducing military funding, or raising taxes on millions of people. Every decision creates winners and losers, which is why real solutions are often delayed. Not because leaders don't see the problem, but because fixing it could be politically painful. And every delay makes the challenge even bigger. Then came 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic. Businesses shut down. Millions lost their jobs. The economy slowed dramatically. To prevent a deeper crisis, the government spent enormous amounts of money supporting households, businesses, and public services. Many economists believe those emergency actions helped avoid a worse recession, but they also came with a cost. The national debt jumped even higher. At the time, most people accepted it as necessary, but few asked, what happens after the emergency ends? Then another surprise arrived. Inflation. Prices started rising. Food, fuel, housing. Almost everything became more expensive. To slow inflation, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates that helped cool price growth. But it also created another challenge. Every new dollar the government borrowed now cost more, much more. Suddenly, America wasn't just carrying a massive debt. It was paying far more to keep that debt financed. And that changed everything. Here's where the story becomes even more interesting. Many countries own U.S. Treasury bonds, not because they want to help America, but because they believe those investments are relatively safe and liquid. For decades, that system helped make the U.S. dollar the world's dominant reserve currency, global trade, oil, international finance. Much of it still relies on the dollar, but recently, some countries have been exploring ways to reduce their dependence on the U.S. dollar, not replace it overnight, but diversify. And if that trend grows over many years, it could gradually reshape parts of the global financial system. So the real question isn't, will it happen tomorrow? It's, how different could the world look 10 years from now? Meanwhile, financial markets continue watching every new budget, every borrowing decision, every interest rate announcement, because small changes can move billions of dollars in minutes. One speech, one policy, one unexpected report can change investor confidence around the world. That's how interconnected today's economy has become. But even now, many ordinary people still don't realize what's happening behind the scenes. History offers a warning. Powerful economies rarely face a single moment where everything collapses. More often, pressure builds slowly. Debt grows. Interest costs rise. Policy choices become harder. Growth slows. Confidence is tested. Sometimes countries adapt. Sometimes they struggle. The future isn't written yet. And that's exactly why economists continue debating America's path. So, is the United States standing at the edge of a financial cliff? Or is it simply entering another difficult chapter that it has the resources to overcome? The answer depends on decisions that haven't been made yet. And what happens next could affect not only America, but the entire global economy. So, is America actually going bankrupt? The answer is no, at least not in the way many people imagine. Unlike an ordinary family, the United States has tools that almost no one else has. It issues debt in its own currency. It has one of the world's largest economies. And the U.S. dollar remains the dominant global reserve currency. That gives America enormous financial flexibility. But here's the catch. Flexibility is not the same as unlimited freedom. Every year, more money is being spent just to pay interest. Think about that. Money that could have gone into roads, schools, research, healthcare, or new technology. Instead, a growing share goes towards servicing yesterday's borrowing. It's like trying to climb a mountain while carrying a backpack that gets heavier every year. You can still keep climbing, but eventually, the extra weight starts slowing you down. And that's exactly what worries many economists. Then there's another challenge. America's population is getting older. Millions of people are retiring. That means higher spending on Social Security and Medicare. At the same time, fewer workers are supporting a larger retired population. It's a trend that has been building for decades, and it won't disappear overnight. The government faces a difficult balancing act. Support an aging population, invest in future growth, strengthen national security, and control borrowing. Doing all four at the same time is one of the biggest economic challenges of the 21st century. But here's what most headlines miss. America isn't facing this challenge alone. Japan has extremely high government debt. Many European countries are managing large debt burdens. China is dealing with major financial pressures in parts of its property sector and local government financing. The difference is, when the world's largest economy faces uncertainty, the entire world pays attention. Because if America slows down, global markets often feel it too. Now imagine this. A young entrepreneur wants to start a business. A family wants to buy their first home. A company wants to build a new factory. All of them depend on access to affordable money. When borrowing becomes more expensive, dreams become more expensive too. That's why government debt isn't just a number on a screen. It can influence everyday lives, even if people never follow economic news. And that's what makes this story so important. So, what happens next? No one knows for certain. Some experts believe stronger economic growth, productivity gains, and responsible fiscal reforms can stabilize the situation. Others warn that delaying difficult decisions can make future adjustments more painful. The truth is, the future hasn't been decided. Every budget, every election, every economic decision will help shape what comes next. History has taught us one powerful lesson. Great nations don't become stronger by pretending problems don't exist. They become stronger by facing them before they become impossible to ignore. America has overcome wars, financial crises, recessions, and moments that once seemed impossible. The question is, will this become another chapter of resilience, or the beginning of a much bigger economic transformation? Only time will answer. The next time you hear someone say, "It's just another $1 trillion," remember this. Behind every number, there are real choices, real consequences, and real people. Because the biggest financial story of our lifetime may not be happening on Wall Street. It may be unfolding quietly inside the numbers almost nobody reads. And by the time everyone is talking about it, the future may already have changed. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe to Rise from Zero for more deep dives into hidden business empires, global economics, AI, geopolitics, and the untold stories shaping our world. Because sometimes the biggest changes begin in silence.